Okay, so I'm showing live on my end. I'm watching the screen here to make sure that we're actually coming up live where I want to be. Otherwise, it's going to be coming up on my other live feed thing here. So, hoping everybody's doing okay. Okay, had a great previous live stream. And sure enough, it's going to do it on the other one. So, let me give everybody a link over here because it is being goofy. Gotta love when it does that. So we'll give you all just a second to pop over to the right thing here. And we're getting some of you. So those of you on the right channel, welcome. I've got several people that are actually on the event live stream, which it's not live streaming to that because YouTube is weird. It has the live stream thing and then the event live stream, and it fed to the regular live stream into the event. So we should get everybody over here in just a second and hopefully get everybody on. I'm kind of watching the event thing to make sure that it drops. It looks like I've still got 8 people over there, so hopefully they will join us here real quick, and then we can actually get started for real, which would be really cool. Let me get my chat thing dropped on here as well. Because I got the live stream on one monitor over here, and then I tried to put it over on the other. Thank you so much, Gordon. I appreciate that. You're going to make me cry before I even get started. Let me just double check everything else. Looks like I still have 8 people waiting on the other one here. So, to the link. I want to make sure we get everybody here. I'm still seeing 8 people on the other side. I'm not quite sure why. So, no, this is not the same stream that was on earlier, Lucy. So, this stream is a little bit different. You'll notice in the description it says NSFM, not safe for magic. This stream, I am actually going to talk about some of my stories and experiences backstage that I have not ever talked about before. Some of the things that go behind the scenes a little bit and reveal a little bit more of characters than some people are comfortable with, and some of the way they do some things backstage that people may not always be comfortable with. So I want to give a big heads up. If we have kids on this one, kids, you may want to sign off. I'm not going to do anything that's going to be sexual or perverted or crude or anything at all like that. But kids definitely need to be, really, that's not going to be an appropriate one for kids. Again, nothing bad. I'm a pastor. I'm not going to have anything inappropriate come out of my mouth. But it is going to be more appropriate for adults and people who want to know some of the backstage workings. There will be a few secrets that will be revealed that people may not want to know. But if you want to know some of my experiences really backstage, not just at Disney, I'll be happy to talk about Busch Gardens and Silver Dollar City as well. Those people who've had questions for a while that they want to know, well, what about the characters and the outfits and what do they do and how do they do that? And I will be happy to answer those kinds of questions on here too. I've still got 5 people on the other one. I'm hoping all 5 of those are actually over here now. So, but yes, definitely a different live stream. This is, if you're not watching live now, and I know this will sound weird, but the only way you're going to see this is to be watching live now, or if you are a patron. I will send a link out to my patrons later, and they can watch it later. But otherwise, this isn't going to be archived. If you're a regular viewer, you're not going to be able to go back and see this again later. It's going to be hidden and essentially blocked, so it can't be done. Because what I'm going to be talking about are things that Disney does not want its current cast members talking about, and I won't say really hates former cast members talking about, but it's not their favorite things. They would rather some of it isn't out there. So, okay, let's see, and it looks like I got just about everybody else who has moved over now, so let me kind of give you a feel for talking about the very, let's see, tell us all your secrets. Don't make us super chat just to get answers. I won't make anybody super chat, although it does make it easier for me to see the questions because it gives me this big colorful box, like Gordon's did. Everybody can see that. So my very first day at Magic Kingdom, had gone through all the training, gone through traditions. We're heading over to the park for our very first shifts. And if I remember right, we were actually going to do the park tour that day. Parked at the back parking lot that's way back behind Magic Kingdom, and we hopped on the bus, got through security. We're riding on the bus, and it goes through this whole security checkpoint behind Magic Kingdom. You're on the bus, and it actually stops where the guard is, and there is these huge, about that big around, metal poles that actually come up out of the ground to help prevent anybody from trying to drive through that couldn't. There's no way you're going to be able to drive a car through that. Additionally, there's also a pop-up ramp that almost has this concrete wall behind it. So the ramp comes up. So you got these poles that you have to go through, and then a ramp that's making a wall. Poles go down, ramp drops, and then your bus can drive through security. Comes up around Toontown, and as we're turning the corner to Toontown, my very first look at Toontown, I look at the tents, and you can see some break tables out there, and there's a picnic table. Cinderella is sitting at the table. You can tell it's Cinderella because of her hair. But she's wearing a white t-shirt and her bloomers, no dress, with a cigarette in one hand and her cell phone on the other. And you're just kind of going, well, there goes the magic. That particular Cinderella apparently had a reputation for having the cigarettes in her cell phone. But that was my very first introduction to backstage at Magic Kingdom. And wow, there goes the magic. It's time for a reality to hit. That's right, Cinderella is actually a 20-some-odd-year-old girl who's just working and needs a smoke break because the kids are driving her crazy. So, Gordon asks, is it true that some cast members end up having relationships and getting married? Absolutely. It's like any other place of employment. You got a whole bunch of young people working together. You're working alongside. You get to know each other. And yes, relationships build. I actually knew a couple who met as Aladdin and Jasmine and eventually got married. I have known other cast members that they met while working in the parks and just built up a friendship and then the relationship and got married. So yes, it absolutely does happen, just like any other place. Now, one of the stories you will hear people say sometimes is that, oh, there's all these people backstage getting it on and making out. And that isn't true. In all honesty, in all 5 years at Disney, I never saw anybody making out backstage. I'm sure it happens, but I never saw it. So, let's see. Yeah, Walt Disney World Battle Royal. Dun, 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 dun. Do Disney princesses do their own makeup? And I actually have that on my list here, Lilith. When Disney princesses start, and again, this is from an outside observer because I was a photographer, but when they do start, they actually go through, as part of their training, a process to learn how to do the makeup and the wigs, so that way they can look like the characters. But after they go through that and they learn it, when they stop in, they pick up their wigs, they have their own makeup kits, and they actually go to where they're going to be working as the princess. There's dressing rooms there that they all use, and they do their own makeup and their own hair or wig on site where they're going to be doing the meet and greets. They pick up the costumes at this big, huge costuming warehouse that has all the dresses and the accessories and pieces that they need, but then they take it with them to the work site and do it all themselves. As a good example, I worked with Mulan quite a bit. Epcot's dressing area is actually, if you go where Mexico and China and those pavilions are, if you go way backstage, there's a whole road that goes around the park, and then there's some big buildings, and that's where the costuming area is. They would pick up their costumes there, and then Mulan actually had a little trailer that was behind China. And she would bring all of her costuming stuff in there. She would change into the dress in there, and then open the door, and I would watch her then put on her makeup and other stuff and get herself finished up. So yes, they do their own makeup. They have to be able to make themselves look like the princess, because otherwise they would just have so many people they're trying to do makeup for. And sometimes the princesses have to go through the parks on the way to their work spot. Well, they can't exactly go through the park with the hair or the makeup done and not in costume. It's not going to work well. So they have to learn how to do it all themselves. And then they take it all off before they go take their costume back again. So I hope that answers your question there, Lilith. Let's see. Wrong channel. Yep. Okay. I think I've only got one person that says over on the other anymore. So I think we're good there now. Let's see. If a character's outfit gets messy, do they have to stay in that all day? No. No. If your costume, whether you are a character or not, if you get a mess on your costume, you immediately go to costuming, you let your managers know, and they will give you a new costume so you can immediately change. They don't want anybody in a messed up outfit, and especially not a character. Characters, if there's a problem with their costume, we pull them immediately off stage. And in fact, one of the things I would do as a photographer was I was constantly watching for what we would call a wardrobe malfunction. And maybe it is Mickey's shoe gets pushed in, or maybe a button comes off. Or I had one time with one of the characters, I think it was Mickey, where their eyebrow actually came off the costume. Came right off the head. Like, yeah, you can't have Mickey with no eyebrow. And so it is an immediate, let's get them off stage, and then they go and they will actually exchange the head for a new one, because you can't have that. In fact, there was also a cue that if the characters needed help, here's a good secret for you. There were signals that they would give to us to let them know. The most general one was one hand over the eye. This is, I need help, come talk to me now. And it might be because some kid slugged them. It may be because there's a wardrobe malfunction. It may be because they're sick. I had one Donald one time who was working with me over at the Mexico Pavilion at Epcot. It was a day where we actually had 3 ducks working. Hot day, and this one young lady who was Donald, yes, Donald was a girl that day. She had not been drinking enough water, hadn't been feeling very good. She came out on set, and we'd been out for maybe 10 minutes out of a 20-minute long set, and all of a sudden her hand goes to her eye, and the attendant and I kind of, okay, this isn't good. I kind of held the line up. The attendant walked over and then starts waving at me real quick. So I said, okay, folks, I'm sorry, we're going to have to go in. I don't know when Donald will be back. Check in with us. And Donald had actually gotten sick inside the head. And we got her backstage before anything came out of the head, thank goodness. But then we had to actually help her all the way back, and they had to bring an ambulance and take her because she'd been severely dehydrated and gotten sick. And, oh, not good. Not good. So that's kind of what happens. She went off, and we sent the whole costume back to costuming for them to clean up. But no, if you have a mess, you don't stay on stage. How many photos did I take a day? It would depend upon where I was working. If I was a place like Character Spot, where you're shooting a bunch constantly, I could shoot 3,000 to 5,000 photos a day. If I was out on the street, say in front of the castle at a busier place, it would probably be closer to 750 to 1,000 photos. It's much slower when you're not with characters. And then there were some places like Rock and Roller Coaster. There I might only shoot 400, 500 a day total. But we would also rotate around to different places. So you oftentimes would not be at one spot. We started off, when I first started, you would have one location. That was your place all day. But that changed after I had been there a while, and we started rotating around different places. So, let's see. Minnie's undies. Minnie's bloomers were kind of weird in that if a certain mouse wasn't proportioned right, they would pin them on to make sure that they didn't slip. And every now and then the pins would come undone. I only had one time where I saw her really slip them, but for the most part, you would catch it early enough and say, hey, Minnie, we got to make a little adjustment here, and walk her off to fix it. Stephanie B., do the fur characters have any cooling system inside the costume? No, they do not. Long-standing myth that there are air conditioners in there. I know that there are some things. I think Chuck E. Cheese has a little fan or something stupid like that. No, there are no air conditioners in the costumes at all whatsoever. Not cool suits, not fans, nothing. It's why when I would have people come up and ask me, do they have air conditioners in their heads? My standard response was, do you have one in yours? No, they don't. It's why they limit the length of time that they're out on stage. If they are outdoors, then the longest they will typically be out will be 45 minutes if it's winter when it's cool, 30 minutes if it's moderately warm, and if it's a hotter day, and I mean like 85 or above, it's 20 minutes long, and that's as long as they're out, and then they will switch people. So no cooling systems. They sweat it out, and trust me, those poor people, when they do characters, they sweat a lot. There are reasons why the character break rooms often have showers for them. They need it. They really do. Let's see here. How many costumes are there for Mickey? Lots and lots. I don't know how many. I have walked by the character wardrobe, and I mean, it is aisles of stuff. They've got all sorts of them, and they're constantly creating new ones. Several of the old ones you don't see anymore. Most of the characters had special outfits for the Year of a Million Dreams, which lasted about 6 months for most of them, and then they were gone. But there are a lot of them. I have no idea how many. Just a bunch. Is it true that guys dress up in the Minnie Mouse costume? Sometimes. Very rare. Most of the guys that are doing characters, if they're in that height range, they are doing Mickey or Donald. And most of the Mickeys I worked with, it's probably about 50-50 on guys and gals for Mickey. Minnies were almost always girls. Daisies were almost always girls. Donald was probably about 2/3 girls. What's fun is the ones that will tend to get girls doing it. The Queen of Hearts is usually a lady, is usually a guy. And Maleficent is usually a guy. Just because they are so tall, it's hard to get girls that can work that height. So those are usually guys, believe it or not. Goofy is almost always a guy. So, is it true that Disney doesn't allow ambulances in the parks itself? Generally, yes. They have access points. If you're at Magic Kingdom, the utilidors are big enough that they actually have, they're called Pergos. They're basically giant oversized golf carts. And they have ambulance carts that they can run to almost any point in the park, and that's how they do it at Magic Kingdom. The other parks, they will keep them backstage as much as possible because they don't want an ambulance to be seen in the park. If they have to, if they absolutely have to, they will close off that whole section of the park first. So, but no, they will bring the beds into the parks. You know, your little carriages. I'm going blank on what they are now. But the portable beds that they can move people, they can bring those into the park, but they won't bring the ambulance itself. So, let's see. I see you guys are throwing out all sorts of stuff, which is going to make this easy. Now, Angie2343, remember, this is the not safe for magic, so we're not preserving magic in this one. So if you're worried about preserving magic, wrong chat for you. Back out now. So, when am I going to visit Lagoon? When somebody wants to pay my way out west. Same thing with other things. I have no idea when I'd be able to afford it. I'd love to, but... how many cast members are one character? Most cast members I knew were multiple characters. In fact, even the princesses, most of them also doubled as what we called a fur. So you had face and fur characters. Face characters are like princesses that they can talk to you. Fur characters have the big outfits and you can't see their actual face. Most face characters also doubled as a fur character or two, and some of the princesses even did more than one princess. You would have groups of characters, so you had the mice and ducks. So Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Daisy were all kind of in the same group because they're all about the same height as the performer. Pluto and Chip and Dale were oftentimes same size people, and so you would have the same people doing those. Buzz Lightyear and Goofy could be together. So most cast members who are characters are multiple characters. They may start off learning one, but they'll gradually add on others. So, does the inside of the mouth have mesh inside to hide the performer? Yes, they do. When I did character training, as part of our training, we actually got to put on a couple of the costumes. So I put on a Goofy head and I put on a Minnie head because that's what we had. And it's a dark mesh. So if you're just looking at it from outside, all you see is this dark spot. It looks like just a black, like the black inside of a mouth or something. Like what you're seeing right now, how you can't see very far. It kind of looks like that. But inside, it's a mesh that they can see out of. But there's very little vision and not very much ventilation either. It's enough to get some air and to be able to see, but your vision is about like this. So if you put your hands up right there and all you see there, that's all you see. There is nothing here and nothing there and up above. And So very restricted that way. Some are better than others, but most of them they don't get to see very much, and it's just a dark mesh that they're looking through. But here's a fun trivia thing for you. I talked to several cast members, and they said one of the funniest things is when the photographers are taking their pictures, they still smile. Even though you can't see their face because they're inside the costume, they're still smiling. We can't help it. You smile for the camera. So, it says an error occurred. I wonder what kind of error occurred there, Joy. I'm not sure what you're referring to. So, let's see. No, the costumes do not have cooling systems in the character suits. Lion Blade. I actually mentioned this already. There are no cooling systems. There are no fans. There are no cool suits. It is a myth. They are not there. That's why they have shorter sets on hot days. No cooling systems in the Disney outfits. If they have started doing it, it is a very recent change, and none of my friends who still do it have talked about it. So, let's see. Eric, I think I caught your question already. What character would I have loved to have played if I could be any of them? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, stretchers and gurries is what I meant. I'm not sure what character I would do. I'd have to think about that. Epcot question. What happened to the animals that were there? I don't know, Michelle. That was long before my time. I didn't start until 2006, and there were no animals at Epcot at that point. I heard that there was in like the 80s and 90s or something like that, but I never saw them, so I don't have any clue. I'm sorry. Is it true that guys dress up as Pluto? Absolutely. That is most Plutos I knew were guys. There were a few girls. Most chipmunks I knew were girls, although there were a few guys. There was one guy who did Pluto that was amazing to me. This guy, Pluto's got these big old paws, and he can't do much. But this guy knew how to not only untie our shoelaces, but he could tie them. He was famous at Toontown for sliding up, sneaking up behind us, and untying our shoes and tying them together when we weren't paying attention. I watched him do that to a couple cast members. So I would see him come near me and I'd start running. He was crazy. It was amazing, though. But yes, most Plutos were guys. Tigers, probably about 50-50. Can a fur cast member do a cast member that's out helping public? Yes. A lot of your character attendants, the people in the blue shirts now, and they used to be yellow and white shirts, many of them either are or have been characters in the past. Not all of them, but a lot of them have, so they know what it's like to be in the costume. So, and I saw several of my favorite characters I work with come out and work as character attendants on other days. So it is entirely possible, not just furs, but any character may end up as an attendant, especially if they have an injury that they're working through, say they hurt their back or foot or something like that. They will put them on what's called limited duty, and a character attendant is one of those spots that they can work that way. Tallest costume, I think, is Goofy or Maleficent. I'm not positive on that. Don't know. So, let's see. Let's see. Oh, okay, Joy. Sorry. Let's see. Furs wearing Under Armour. Out west, yes, the characters, they've got the outer suit, they have a padded suit, and then what they wear under the padded suit to help fill out the shape of the character is kind of up to them. Under Armour was just starting to come out when I had quit, but that wouldn't surprise me at all if they would wear that underneath to help try to keep themselves a little bit cooler and everything. That would make absolutely perfect sense. But I would pretty much guarantee that it is something that they are providing themselves, not that Disney is providing them. Anything they can do to try to keep cool in those outfits, they would try that wouldn't possibly interfere with it. Chip and Dale would be fun. I couldn't be a Goofy. I'm way too short. So, let's see. But yeah, Pluto might be fun. I could have fun with Chip or Dale. I have fun as a Donald, too. I would definitely have fun as a Donald. So, are the fur heads held on with a helmet? Do they strap onto your head? There is a harness that is in there, depending upon the costume. There may be a chin strap. Most of them have a chin strap. Some of them may actually snap onto the actual outfit, but it's a harness. It's really not a helmet, because it's trying to keep it comfortable. They're heavy too, and if you put a helmet in there, it's even more weight on your neck and back. So think harness in there. Straps. Let's see here. Okay, Angie, I do not know anything about the talking character technology. Here, let me show your comment there. Talking Mickey did not exist when I was at Disney. They had just gotten to the point where for the stage show they had the costumes that could blink. That was brand new, and it's actually controlled with a little finger motion. So if you watch them when they're blinking, they're doing this with their fingers, and that's what makes it blink. But the talking thing is completely new to me. I have no clue what's going on with that. I'd love to be able to tell you, but I can't give you any information because I don't know. I don't even know exactly how it works, to be totally honest with you. I've heard rumors and seen some things, but I couldn't tell you. So you would have to actually ask Disney, and they're probably not going to tell you. I'm sorry on that one. Brian, I knew three dwarfs who were Donald. In fact, the best Donald I ever saw was a dwarf. He was amazing. Fantastic guy. So there's something about Donald and dwarfs. That seems to be the character they go to. So what characters would I love to be at the parks that aren't? Wally and Eve would be interesting. I would love to see Robin Hood come back. I miss Robin Hood. I never actually got to meet him. Some of the characters like that, I'd have to think about that. There's so many characters. Stitch. Stitch was fun. I definitely have fun with Stitch because he gets to be obnoxious. Stitch was absolutely crazy. Here's a secret for you. Most of the chipmunks and the Stitches, when you get them backstage, they're very much like the character. Fun-loving, nice, but crazy. We had a lot of fun. Chipper Dip. How tall is Mickey? He's about yay high. I don't remember the exact height requirements. 5'7", I think, is tall as they're allowed to be, but don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure. Photographers were not generally given that information because we didn't need to know it because we weren't doing it. We were just taking the pictures. So we kind of gleaned from when we were talking to the characters at breaks, but was character pay based on popularity of the character? No, not at all, Austin. In fact, as a photographer, I often got paid more than the characters did. The characters got paid about $1 more an hour than minimum wage, and I actually got a couple dollars more because I was considered technology and administration. So that was one thing that bothered me, that as hard as they were working, we got paid more than they did for a while. I believe that has now evened out thanks to union rules, but it's not based on the character. It is based on, like other jobs, on experience, seniority, and things like that. So at least it's experience and seniority of the person playing the character, not the character itself. So, let's see. Craziest PhotoPass experience with guests. I've actually told most of those stories in videos already. I did have a number of times that I had to save characters from guests. I can remember I had one poor Mickey that this teenage guy, and I don't know if he was special needs or not. He did not appear to be, but he just thought it was hilarious to punch Mickey in the head, and watched him do it once, and I stepped in and stopped him. Told him, hey, you can't do that or you're going to be leaving. Okay, I'm sorry. And as soon as I stepped out, he did it again. And we pulled Mickey off stage, and family was not real happy, but they were yelling at us, and we're like, look, you want us to call security? We'll let you know how this is going to go, but you're not doing that to Mickey, and at this point, you're not allowed to see any more characters. And we're now alerting every attendant in here to who you are, because you did it after we told you not to. So that may be one of the craziest I saw. But let's see. But yeah, it's unfortunately I saw things like that a number of times. We had to be protective of our characters. In particular with Jasmine and some of the princesses, you would watch adult guys, guys my age or a little younger, that are hitting on them and trying to give them phone numbers and, hey, meet me later. And like, knock it off, dude. She's 20, she's got a boyfriend outside and you don't know it. A lot of the princesses are actually married. They're not interested in some creep who's dropping in on a park and trying to hit on them. That was frustrating. I did have a couple times where I took pictures of guys very deliberately who were misbehaving, not to get them on PhotoPass. In fact, try not to hit my mic. I did have one family that did not want PhotoPass pictures taken. And I took pictures anyways because they were not treating the characters properly. And so I started shooting pictures and putting it on PhotoPass at the same time as we contacted my manager and said, look, here's this family. We cut them off. They came back. They started doing it again. I said, we need to deal with them. And they realized what I was doing, and they kind of took off. But I took the PhotoPass card and I handed it to the security officer who came up and said, there you go. That's the people you want. I have no idea if they caught them or what happened after that. But, so yes, we did occasionally use the PhotoPass system as a security system as well. So kind of a neat little deal. Not the way you want to use it, but in an emergency and you've got somebody doing something who they shouldn't and you want to get a record of it, well, hey, I've got the camera. So, and of course, this was at a time too when not everybody had cell phones. These really did not exist. When I quit Disney, it was 2011, so you had an iPhone 1 or 2, not what they currently have. Most people had flip phones, and they took cruddy pictures and videos. So you didn't really see people using those very much. So it's changed quite a bit. See you later, Ryan Diaz. Let's see. Most embarrassing story, including character. Honestly, I don't know, Beth. It's hard when anytime you say what's your favorite or your most or what. It's hard to pick one out like that. Give me time. It's easier for me to respond to a specific thing. So, did I have a particular person who was difficult to work with? Okay, I can talk about Two Shot. Thank you, Stephanie. Two Shot was an old school character. She was a Minnie Mouse. And when I first joined PhotoPass, PhotoPass was expanding. She was used to not working with the photographer at all. And so as we came in, she didn't like PhotoPass. And we had a few characters like this who grew to like us. She hated us. Did not want me to take any pictures. Didn't want any PhotoPass photographer to take a picture. She would post her one picture and everything else she blocked. She'd turn her back on. She'd cut off. If she was doing an autograph, she would actually stop signing and stare at us. So if we then took another picture, she'd stop signing and stare at us again. And her comment was 2. Pain in the neck. Older lady, mean lady. She wasn't even nice off stage. And so we had to go round and round with management with her. And she got removed from characters entirely. I don't know if she got fired, but she would not work with PhotoPass despite repeated comments. She was the one character that if she got popped or somebody was mistreating her, we were just kind of like, hey, I'm not here. You don't want me here. You got it coming. She was a mean lady. So we did have a couple. Most characters, though, they worked with us and realized that we were there to help them. And very quickly, the characters began to love PhotoPass because we were like an extra attendant and helper. It's one of the reasons that with this changeover to the boxes with characters, many of the characters, not just the photographers, but the characters are ticked as well because they are losing somebody there that helps them and assists them and makes sure that they're safe. So it's not a good switch over there. Any babies born at the park, you'd have to ask first aid. I have no clue, Michelle. Possibly. I don't know. I didn't do anything at all like that. So, Brian, I love that. I see wet down the plastic Pluto tongue. That's neat. That is neat. I have heard of things like that. Do I ever watch Brian Hull's imitations? Absolutely. I love Brian Hull. He's awesome. Character attendants and security, Gordon, are very different departments. And this is true at any park. You are given basic guidelines on how to protect your stuff, but anything serious, you refer to security. You are not a trained police officer. You are not trained to deal with things that a security officer does. No cuffs, no restraining people. It's let security be the policeman. You are there to help the guests and the characters. And that's true of pretty much every job. You've got your job area that you work on, and you stay within your parameters. So as a photographer, I didn't go tell a ride attendant how to do their job. I would help characters, but I didn't tell a character how to do their job. I'd be way out of line. We did have a couple photographers that tried to tell characters how to do their stuff, and they very quickly got removed from characters because they weren't characters. They didn't know. That was not our place. Our job was to help them, but not tell them. And that was my big thing. I was there to help the characters, not do somebody else's job for them. So no, we absolutely did not do security's job. We did not cross over. We had our stuff to do. We couldn't leave our characters either or a place to go do security. We had to do our job. So, let's see. Ever had a funny Mickey Mouse moment? I actually did a couple whole videos on funny Mickey Mouse moments. Although they're old, you'll have to do a search on the channel, but they are there. And I tell a couple great stories. I probably need to update that video at some point. Are attendants and ride operators trained in basic security? Nope. Same kind of thing. You don't cross jobs. So, how early did you have to arrive to get ready to go on stage? We actually kept our costumes with us. And so I arrived at Disney in costume, ready to go. From the time I would park to the time I would get to my base, it could be anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, depending upon how slow the buses were running and how far I had to walk. Different parks would be a different distance. Magic Kingdom, you might have to walk all the way past the castle under Main Street, or you might be over near Toontown. I've heard their main base now is under the castle. Other places, it's a long walk to where you checked in. Others, it's short. So, but you would come in ready to go for the most part. Have your lunch with you, costumed ready, and then you get ready to go. So it typically didn't have to arrive that early. I would normally get there 30 minutes at least. And that would put me there a good 10 to 15 minutes before I started by the time I got in. So, at SCC, what was backstage like compared to Disney? Nowhere near the same. Disney's backstage areas are much more developed. There's more to them. Hi, Zachary. Many Silver Dollar City's backstage areas are kind of limited in scope. You've got a big maintenance area, but there's not a lot of other areas. Nowhere near as many break rooms at Silver Dollar City. It doesn't have the infrastructure. Silver Dollar City does not even have employee bathrooms except in the employee cafeteria. So if you got to go at Silver Dollar City, you go to one of the park bathrooms that everybody else uses. Disney, if you used a park bathroom in costume, you could get fired. They had employee restrooms, and that's where you went, and that's what you used. You did not eat on stage at Disney. Where Silver Dollar City, we could occasionally eat and drink. So very different in that regard just because of the facilities. Disney was much more developed in that regard than Silver Dollar City was. So, coolest secret you can tell. What cool secret do you want to know, Eric? Let me see. You can set up a collab. Out West, I would love to do a collab with Brian Hull. If the Disneyland trip happens next year like I'm hoping to be able to make it happen. Alex, I sort of saw the message about going to Disneyland next year, and then I missed it because you just pulled it. Gordon, suspicious bags and packages in the parks. Oh, okay. Here's the deal with suspicious bags and packages. If we saw a backpack or a bag get left for a while, if we remembered who dropped it, great. But generally, if it sat for more than 20 or 30 minutes, we called security to come handle it. We were not supposed to touch them because we didn't know what it was. And depending upon where and what, they would close off the area and have bomb-sniffing dogs come in. Disney has a full staff of bomb-sniffing dogs and all that. But yes, if we saw something for a while and we didn't have somebody come back and get it, we would call it in. And then they would close us off, move us out of the area, and check it. How does Disney handle children missing their parent? This has actually changed a little bit. See if I can get your name. Viveko Mime? I'm sorry. Now at Walt Disney World with the magic bands, if somebody comes in and the child has lost their parent with the magic band, they can actually scan the kid's magic band now, and it will be attached to the parent's account. And then they can actually there's an RFID chip in there, which in park it can actually sense where these people are. And so they can look on the computer system and see where the parents are and find them that way with the magic bands. It's really cool that way. But the general rule at any park is if a child has lost their parent, that parent is probably in the immediate area, and so you stand there with the child for several minutes, keeping them safe, reassuring them, making them happy, and you just kind of look around. What's your mom and dad look like? How are they dressed? And I never had to take a child to security. We always found them within 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, because they were right there somewhere looking for the kid themselves. So never had to worry about that. And that's generally what it is. It really is the parents lost most of the time, and they find them in a few minutes. So you just take care of them, make them happy. What park did I enjoy working at? All of them. I loved working all the parks. That's why I did work all the parks. I had a great time. Did I ever see somebody accidentally talk in a fursuit? Accidentally laugh a couple times, yes. Generally, no. They did not. I can't think of a time somebody accidentally talked. Laughing would be hard because they're not even supposed to do that out loud. And then if there's something going on, you could put your ear right up to them and they could whisper to you through the suit so nobody else could hear. But basically, no, I didn't. If you were caught talking in a fursuit, it could give you a reprimand at least. And worst case scenario, if you're really bad, they could fire you for it. What would you do if a person asked a character an awkward question that you could talk legally? If somebody asked a character an awkward question, usually we would kind of distract and give some sort of weird answer, like, they really don't like to talk about that. And so we would kind of answer for the character if they were a fur character. Face characters would answer themselves and say, that's not something that's really good to ask, or we don't talk, or they would respond in a completely different subject and change it. So that's kind of how we handled that. Let's see. The only time you would have to get on a PA to the park if a child was missing is if you couldn't find him in a few minutes. And with the jobs I worked at, if you had a child that you couldn't locate their parent in a few minutes, then you would take them to security. Now, Disney, you're talking a park with 75,000 people in it, so you can't really announce over the whole park. Most parents realize if they've lost their kid, okay, let's go check with a cast member, and cast member could call security and see if the child was there. They usually are. But again, I never had to take a child to security because we always found him in 5 minutes. It's probably 1 in 100 lost kids, maybe, that you have to go that far. But the vast majority of them you find in a couple minutes because, hey, they're right there. They turned around and kid went one direction, mom went another. Oops. So, let's see. What do you and your family need to do on our first time in Disneyland? Everything, Alex. There's some great forums out there. Touring Plans is a good one that will help you kind of learn what is there and what's not. And then check out some of the other Disney-specific sites. They'll give you lots of great advice. As far as what you want to do, what not to miss, every family is different on what they like and don't like. And so there is not a good answer to that until we know who you are and what your family enjoys. I mean, I may tell you to go on the huge roller coaster and your family hates them. Or I may tell you not to go on it and go on the little kiddie rides and your family doesn't like it. So everybody's different. So, let's see. Specific cast members used for characters who meet the Make-A-Wish kids. No, they're the regular characters. The Make-A-Wish kids go out in the parks like everybody else. They come up to the lines like everybody else. We walk them around the line, but they're seeing the same characters that everybody else does. So, dressing rooms at Silver Dollar City. Silver Dollar City really does not have dressing rooms. Busch Gardens didn't either, as I recall. You show up to work in your outfit. If for some reason you're in the wrong outfit, we did have a couple times on the train where somebody would come in as a robber and then we needed him as a conductor, or vice versa. In that case, our break room was small. It's actually at the end of the dock. We would actually just lock the break room door and we would change in there. Or if we were changing into a robber outfit, we change in the robber shack. But there really aren't dressing rooms at Silver Dollar City and Busch Gardens. You show up in your outfit, ready to go. Disney did have dressing rooms. They were generally intended for the characters to use, but some others would use them as well if you needed them at times, especially if you had a really long shift and just had to get out of your old clothes. So, let's see. With so many kids having food allergies, how are magic things like let me get you an ice cream handled, especially for a lost child? Tammy, if it got to that kind of a stage, we had already taken him up to security and guest relations handled that. We didn't. As a photographer, I was not going to take the chance to get a kid a snack that might get them sick. So we did not do that. That was completely left up to guest relations. So that was one of those areas I didn't deal with. I would look around for a few minutes with the kid, and if I couldn't find their parents in a few minutes, generally I would then call in and I would, depending upon where I was, I would either get a hold of a manager, a coworker, I might call security. or if I was not far from guest relations, I could walk them up myself. But usually at that point, I would turn them over to somebody else, so I didn't abandon my post and leave it with nobody there. And they would take care of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, if you hear a PA announcement at a Disney park, it means get out of the town now or go take shelter. They don't like doing public announcements unless it is the utmost emergency. The one time I know of that they did public announcements, it was 9/11. When 9/11 hit and they made the decision to close the parks, then they made PA announcements. So that's where Disney will do that. Otherwise, they don't do PA announcements. So, have I seen guests bring in gifts for characters? Absolutely. And they love it. I mean, I've got gifts that guests gave me. The characters love it. The first trip I went back in January, I took pictures that one of my viewers had drawn for them and gave it to them. And I know they kept those because I actually heard back from one of them afterwards. So, yes, characters love stuff like that. It means a lot to them. You want to bless a character, give them a small gift. A little bag of candy, candy bar, a picture you made, whatever, small stuff. You can't give them cash. Don't give them money. Don't tip cast members. They cannot accept it. You can actually get them in trouble if they take cash. But they love small gifts and stuff. That's great. Where's the best place to view Illuminations Around the World Showcase? There's several places. I basically, wherever I could get a good view of the lake was a good spot. Almost anywhere around that lake that you don't have an island or a tree is going to be a good place to view Illuminations. What do you do if the gift that the characters get are very big and bulky? You can't. They're going to have a hard time getting it in the park, for one, and then walking it around all day just to give a character. I think the biggest thing I ever saw a character given was a little stuffed animal, and I mean like this. People are not going to walk around all day with big bulky things to give to characters, and if they try, they're going to probably tell them security, look, that's not going to work. So don't take big, huge things in. Just don't. Did they really create Donald early? And I don't know on if they used the Hillary statue for Donald Trump or not, Julie. I've heard rumors, but that was an Imagineering thing. So even if I had been in the park, I wouldn't have any clue because it'd be a completely different department. So no idea on that one, Julie. Sorry. There's several of you asking the same question about gifts. So I think I've caught that already. Did I work special events? Yes, I worked at Not So Scary. I didn't work at the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, but I worked at some of the other things. I worked at one grad night, so I did work a few of them, and I enjoyed them. But they got to a point after we had PhotoPass for 2 or 3 years that all of a sudden they started requiring extra training to work these events, which was really silly because it's the same stuff. And I think they've rolled that back now. But so yes, I did work a few, and I did have a lot of fun. Are there code words that they use? There are some, a lot of security code words I would not know. There are some code words that I do know that even though this is private, I'm not comfortable sharing because the one thing that would happen, we had it at Busch Gardens because we had radios in our trucks. And we did have it at Silver Dollar City because we had radios on the train, that every now and then you'll get somebody who will break into your frequency and you don't want them to know your codes and signals because they can mess you up in a hurry. That's also an FCC violation too and get you in jail if you're caught. But yes, there are code words that they would use. As a PhotoPass photographer, we generally did not carry radios. We had our PDA that, worst case, we can kind of text a message in, but usually if we had to do something that needed a radio call, we went into a store or found somebody else who had a radio. So, Hayes Family Vlogs are also great. They are a wonderful group. I love their little girl. She's adorable. Have I been working during a power outage? No, that's actually something I have not experienced. Never had to do that. Beth, can you give them gift cards? No, gift cards are like cash. No. Nothing that is spendable. So no gift cards, no money, nothing like that. Give them something that they're going to remember, but don't give them anything spendable because they can seriously get in trouble. They have to say no if somebody gives them that. And you have to say no 3 times. And then the 4th time you can accept it, but you're not supposed to keep it. You're supposed to give it to your management to use. Sometimes management will let them keep it. I had twice that I actually had people give me tips. One was a 5 and one was a 10. And I mean, it was the same thing. No, I'm just here to help you. This is my job. This is what I'm here for. No, 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 no. And they still forced it on me. And so I took it to my management. And my bosses were very nice. They both said, I don't see it. Put it away. Okay. But you're not supposed to give them a tip. And if upper management had seen I had not gone to my manager, I could have easily been fired for that. So no, don't do that. There's plenty of things to get. I got Ghirardelli chocolate bars, which were awesome. Thank you cards and notes are wonderful. Those are great, especially if you're seeing a character. A picture of the person with the character along with a thank you note is awesome. Those are fantastic. Or the kids' drawings of the characters. Those are great gifts. So, have you ever been working when someone passed away at a park? No, not that I know of at least. And if it was at Disney, you would never, ever, ever hear about it because they don't talk about it. Again, that would be first aid and security who'd be dealing with that, not a photographer. Closest I had at Silver Dollar City one time, we had one of our guys who was working on Outlaw Run had a heart attack while working. And actually one of the guys from the train was working over there with them, and he was the one who did CPR on him. They brought him back, got him to the hospital. He's fine. He's alive today. But that is the closest I've ever heard, and that was on the other side of the park. So, but things like that, they don't talk about. It is kept very hush-hush. Cast members know you don't talk about it. You don't advertise it. You don't share about it. First aid deals with it. Security deals with it. And they're the only ones who know any details. It is also, in the case of medical issues, it is also illegal due to privacy laws to talk about it. So if somebody in first aid says, oh yeah, we had so-and-so die today, they've just broken the law. So, no, you wouldn't hear anything about that. Let's see here. When you went to the break room, did you ever see Chip or Dale read a magazine? It was kind of fun. You walk into a character break room and they would have their costumes all piled up, hanging up on a wall, maybe, depending upon the break room. The heads would be on one part, and then the rest of the costume in a different spot, and then the shoes in a different... But, yeah, they were always fun in the break room. And you didn't want to sit anywhere near the costumes for the most part, because they smelled. But... do cast members get to choose the rides they work? Sometimes. At Disney, I really don't know because that was attractions and I was PhotoPass. Completely different departments. So I really don't know how much say they have. I know college program generally doesn't. They're told that they're working attractions in this spot and then in this area. And that's kind of where that goes. So for the most part, I don't think so. Sorry, Jason. Let's see. Pancake, I'm happy it's making you feel better. So, what's my favorite place to eat in the parks? Wherever there's good food. The restaurants are constantly changing. And keep in mind, I'm always on a budget. So, I'm counter service all the way. I rarely eat expensive food because my budget doesn't allow it. If you watched my recent trip reports from Walt Disney World, and we were on meal plan thanks to a very generous person who took us on the trip, Tepanito for 6 people was $400. I can't afford $400 for a meal. The cheap meals for 4 of us were almost $200. So I can't afford that. So I eat counter service, and it's like, all right, what am I in the mood for? I generally don't eat pizza in the parks because I don't like the park pizzas. But the tacos and their attempt at Mexican food is good, and Disney burgers aren't bad. So, but it depends upon what I'm in the mood for. So. Yeah, I know. Not a great answer. I'm sorry. There really isn't a great answer on that. Because I can't afford. We would go cheap. We'd bring in snacks and stuff. Was I trained in basic first aid? So care for guests. As PhotoPass, no. At Silver Dollar City, we were all trained for CPR. But generally speaking, in the parks, when it comes to first aid, the park rule is get everybody else away, call first aid and let them deal with it. Because they don't want anybody doing first aid who doesn't know what they're doing, who isn't fully trained, because it can expose them to lawsuits. So you were not really supposed to do anything, even if you knew first aid. If you were not a first aid employee or cast member, you really weren't supposed to do anything. The hard thing with that was we would see people sometimes... when we had the guy cut his head open on the train at Silver Dollar City, and I talk about that in a video, there was we weren't supposed to do anything. He was a doctor, so he was telling us what to do. And we actually had somebody give us a diaper, and we were holding the diaper on his head to hold the bleeding back, because otherwise he was going to bleed everywhere. And I had a manager come down. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm sorry, do you really want blood all over and have to close this for the whole day while you desanitize it? But no, we were not supposed to do any first aid unless absolutely necessary. Even the CPR, it was just do CPR until the first aid people get there, and then you get out of the way. So, Brian Eisenhart, I don't know that is exactly true, that nobody's been declared dead on Disney property. I am sure, absolutely sure, that there are people who have been declared dead on Walt Disney World, but they don't like to admit it or talk about it. But I don't know for sure. That is one of those rumors out there that nobody knows. Gordon, who's the worst character to work with? Actually, all the characters are about the same, really. It's just up to the people who's in the costume. So, and I already talked about Two Shot. Two Shot was the biggest pain. Easy. How much was I paid as a PhotoPass photographer? And scheduled raises, or was it based on merit? When I started, I was getting, this is 2006. I was getting $9.40 an hour to start. Whereas most of the characters at the time were getting about $7.50 to $8 an hour. And that was pretty typical. We would get yearly raises based on our performance reviews. And so it was like 25, 30 cents every year. So when I quit, I was making right about $10 an hour or so. It is based schedule. Every year you get a review. They look over your performance, how many attendance points, any demerits, or anything that you've been reported on badly. And generally speaking, you would get, about a quarter raise an hour. So, and Angie, you're running into Nightbot. Be good. Was I ever backstage with Trails or Monorail at Disney? No, I never did go to their roundhouse. Never got into it. I was not into trains very much at that time, and it was not my department. The roundhouse at Magic Kingdom is actually not in Magic Kingdom. It is behind the park and then across the street. So there is a whole separate area back there where the train roundhouse is. And if you are not part of that group, you don't go there. They do offer early morning tours of the roundhouse, and you've got to pay for that. And as a cast member, I could have done that, but I never did get a chance to. So, hey George, do they bounce the brats that pull the cord on the train? Yes, we did bounce a couple. So, most of the time, the people who pulled the cord on the steam train at Silver Dollar City, they weren't supposed to. We had a couple kids who didn't realize what it was. We had one poor kid that thought the robbery was real, of all things. And so, hey, it's an emergency. We're getting robbed. And he pulled the cord, not realizing it was pretend. He was probably about 8 or 9. He should have been old enough to know better. But the couple adults that did it, thinking they were funny, yes, they got walked out of the park. Absolutely. Let's see. Did I ever get the characters autographed as a thank you when you worked with them? I had a couple characters that I had phone numbers for. I still have I've got 5 characters that I'm still friends with on Facebook that we talk fairly often that way. I didn't necessarily get their autograph because I worked with them, but I do have my own autograph book that I keep. Is it here or a church? I think it's a church. Oh, nope, here it is. And this is the one I put together on my trip back in January. And you see first pictures, me and Pluto. But when I was there in January and I was showing the pictures to the characters, and see if I can find one of these here. I got my blanks. And I'll take this with me when we go back here again next month. And let's see. And I'm having a hard time finding the pictures that I really want to find. Oh, here we go. Come here. So you can see kind of how I did it, where I've got Flick who signed his own picture. So I have done autographs that way. And yes, it's a fun way to do autographs. And I got some other pictures I got to add to it to get ready for this next trip coming up in February. So let's see. Okay, and Gordon, I'm separated your comments, so I'm not sure prankster-wise. Oh, worst character to work with prankster-wise. Probably the one Pluto who untied our shoelaces. He was... Because I did get my shoes tied together one time by him. And then you're standing there with a $3,000 worth of camera equipment. He was fun, though. We had a great time with him. There was never a prankster that got on my bad side that way, if that's what you mean. Pay at Silver Dollar City, same as pretty much any theme park, just above minimum wage. You're going to find that at Silver Dollar City, at Disney, at Knott's Berry Farm, Six Flags. Is you take minimum wage, maybe put 50 cents on top of it, and that's theme park pay. That's what it is. So, ever ride in the tail cone of a monorail? No, but I have ridden it up in the driver's compartment and have our monorail driver's license at places. Was I working the day of the monorail purple incident? No, I was at home on my medical leave for cancer when that one happened, and that sucked. Those of you who don't know what the monorail purple incident was, it was late night. They were pulling one monorail train off of the main line and getting ready to send it to the back, and they had switched lines, or thought they had, when another monorail came in, and in any case, they had two monorails do this in the monorail station, and it killed the driver of one. And ruined the trains, and I had people that I knew who knew the kid killed. That I don't think there was a cast member at Disney that wasn't affected by that. And there was a long time afterwards when they got the trains fixed, sort of. They took the two trains that collided and they basically cut off part of them and put the pieces together and gave it a new color. I didn't like riding on that train. Not because there was anything wrong with it. I just knew what it meant. So, but no, I was not working that day, but I knew people who were. Angie, I don't know anything about the talking character technology. I don't know when or anything about it because I had nothing to do with it. So, I'm sorry. Already answered that one. That probably be the last time I answer that one because I sent you a couple private messages too. But I have nothing to do with it, so I couldn't tell you. So, when am I coming back to Israel and bringing the family? I don't know. I would love to go back, Jeremy. I really would. Gosh, my wife and I, that Israel trip was just incredible. Absolutely incredible. We'd love to be able to go back. Anybody want to spend like $8,000 and send us again? No, I don't expect that, but I don't want to get too preachy, but it makes you read the Bible very differently when you've been there. Just an incredible thing. My son working with our big church denomination headquarters, who knows? It might happen with him at some time, but for a first-timer, what do you suggest we do at Disney World? What do you like to do, Jesse? I can't tell you what to do because my likes and preferences are different than yours. Do you like working with people or not? Do you like pretending to be characters or not? Do you like ride operations? Do you like cooking? Really, you need to think about what you like, what you enjoy, and what you don't like, and then kind of decide from there what you would want to do. Unless you're talking about going to the park, and it's still the same kind of thing. What do you like? Your likes are going to be different than mine. What you enjoy riding is probably going to be different than what I enjoy riding. And so that's really where it starts, is you have to look at what you enjoy and then make decisions from there. So, would I be willing to get an autograph for someone who couldn't get one of their favorite character? Absolutely. I have done that before. The January trip, I did that for a couple of my viewers. I do have a couple other people who are friends of mine that I have picked up autographs for. And so, yes, absolutely. I enjoy stuff like that. Hey, it's an excuse to go see a character. I cannot promise at any given point I can see a character because I don't know what the lines will be like. I had one I really wanted to see on the trip in January with Mickey. And then Mickey ended up having an hour-long line, and I just didn't have time for that. So, can I give you a shout-out for a smaller Disney YouTube channel? Run it by me. Offline, Brian. Send me a link so I can check it out, because I want to make sure it's okay, if you know what I mean. So, any plans on visiting our country, Germany? Here's my general rule on all the, are you going to visit or when do you want to? My budget is extremely limited, which I know sounds crazy with the last year having gone to Disney twice and Germany, or sorry, not Germany, Israel and France. But believe it or not, every single one of those trips was actually paid for almost entirely by other people. As crazy as that sounds, because our budget doesn't have it. Especially last year when I got diagnosed with some heart issues and ran up big time medical bills. Welcome to the United States and our flawed medical plan. But I would love to go to Germany. I actually have been doing some family research, and my great great grandmother is actually originally from Germany. And I'll say this wrong, and I'm sorry, from Hesse or Hesse, from right there. So I would love to go back just for that, but I don't have budget to be able to do it, and so I don't know when or if it will ever happen. So I'd love to. Did I ever see people give gifts to characters that weren't part of their stories? Like giving nacho cheese. Don't give characters food that's open and like that. So nacho cheese, no. We would not allow nacho cheese anywhere near a character because it would mess up their costume. So, so any open food containers, fresh hamburgers, drinks, anything that could possibly spill was not allowed anywhere near the characters because you didn't want it being spilled on the ground or on the character itself, because then you'd have to pull the character out and they're down for a while. So, Pocahontas should be fairly easy. Actually, Pocahontas doesn't usually have a bad line. So, yes, I could probably do that one, Crazy Chill. So, do I think the Dragon Float will return January? I don't know about January, but I've heard it's coming back. If it might actually be back once Christmas is done. So, very possible. It's supposed to be close. From what I've heard. Can't say for sure, but I believe so. Heart issues are doing great now. My biggest issue now, honestly, is my weight. When I got diagnosed, I put on 30 pounds, and I can't get rid of it. So that's my biggest thing. If I get the weight done, I'll be in great shape. So, but thank you for asking, Beth. Did I ever see anyone give Wendy a thimble? No, but not for the reasons you're thinking, Out West. Wendy at the time was not a character that we shot at PhotoPass. We might shoot Peter Pan, but even he was kind of a rare one. We would shoot Captain Hook, but we didn't have enough photographers that we weren't with every character, and Wendy was not on the list of characters that we would normally shoot, and neither was Peter Pan. So I never worked with Wendy as a photographer. So no, I never got to see anybody give her anything just because I never got to work with her. So sorry, I know. Bad answer. Excuse me. Tammy's recommending a guidebook. There are some good guidebooks out there, but honestly, the websites now are going to be more up to date and faster than the guidebooks. Touringplans.com is a great website. It really is. Check them out, and then just do a simple Google search for Disney touring plans or walking plans, and you're going to get some great info that way. Let's see. We have a little kid, so I want him to feel magic. So which character for a little Star Wars fan to see? Alex, when you get there, check on the lines. It's hard to say because I don't know your kid or who he likes or who he doesn't like. Keep in mind, Chewbacca is 7 feet tall. So he's big. The characters are all full-size people. So who is he going to like and who's he not going to like? And then, like I said, when you're at the park, check the line length. You may decide you want to see a character and then realize it's a 90-minute wait, and you don't want to wait 90 minutes. But that other character, he's only 30. Okay, we can wait for that. So that's the best thing, is who does your kid like and what are the lines like? There's a lot of questions like that. They're very much, it's really up onto you. I can't tell you. I love Star Wars. I meet them all. But although when I was at Hollywood Studios last time, we didn't even think about BB-8 because he was a 2-hour-long line. Sorry, I don't wait that for anything. Let's see here. Let's see. Any transportation stories? No, because I didn't work transportation. Sorry, Cameron. I was a photographer. The the Rhino Rally stories and the train stories at Silver Dollar City, I've told most of those already. So, have I ever seen Mickey's Holiday Parade at Universal? Yes, we did go. And in fact, when I did the top 5 holiday parks I went to, I could not believe I started going through my pictures and I have no photos. And my daughter's looking, going, why don't you have any photos? You took pictures all the time. For whatever reason, I didn't take pictures of any of the Christmas stuff at Universal. I don't know. I did not have a great camera at the time, so that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But yes, we went 2 or 3 times for that. Really enjoyed Universal at Christmas. As far as the real parade goes, I've never been to New York. So, nope. Would love to go. Gordon, thinking of working Disney cruises as a photographer, what tips would you give for someone applying to Disney for jobs? I actually have a whole video on how I got my job at Disney, or how to get a job at Disney. Going to be the exact same tips in that. There are a couple wonderful books on Amazon Kindle about working on cruise boats. I would strongly suggest reading those. There is people have a idea of a glamorous side of working on a boat, and I actually have a old friend of mine who works on a boat as a pianist, and he said, no, go read these books. It's not at all what you think it is. So check that. Working on a Disney cruise does not have a lot of Disney magic. Hi, hun. My wife just walked in the door after being gone for a while. So, Brian, thank you so much. I will be sure to check that link out. Let's see. I just kind of skimming through. Saw the Country Bears while there. Jamboree. Okay, Country Bears at Walt Disney World does not generally change. Disneyland will change several of its attractions for holidays. You've got the Haunted Mansion holiday. Back when they had Country Bears at the time, they had a Christmas show that they did, and it will change some of the other things and put overlays on. Walt Disney World does not do that. That is because Disneyland gets a lot more locals, and so they try to change things up to keep it fresh for them. Walt Disney World gets a lot more internationals, and so they don't change it because then people get mad that they change it. We came to see Country Bears, and that's not what it was. So, excuse me a second, guys. I need a drink. Oh. Whew. It's been a lot of talking. So, did I get a chance to work with or see unique characters like Jack Skellington and Sally? Jack and Sally did not do meet and greets when I was there. I left in 2011, and I want to say it was like 2013 before they started coming out and meeting people. So I never got to see Jack and Sally. Never got to work with them. Sorry. Hey, Pink Pearl. I opened up your card in the last live feed. So this is the Not Safe for Magic one. But yeah, you missed that. I'm sorry. But that one, if you want to see me open your card and stuff, it will actually be archived. You can actually go back and watch that one. This one will disappear. You got like a couple people saying, hi, Mrs. Willow.
Hi.
So
I'm going to use the microwave a minute.
Okay, that's fine. So if you all hear like these weird noises and buzzing, my wife is making herself some food. So, man, my throat is all dry now. Y'all are wearing me out. Let's see. Which costumes for Mickey and Minnie are your favorites? Oh gosh, they have some really neat ones. I like the Star Wars costumes. I definitely do. The Halloween ones were kind of neat. I would probably go with Star Wars. I definitely like the Jedi Mickey. I think that one just looks really cool. So, what was the worst a character has ever been after a long day in the humidity? So, Laker, did you hear me tell the story earlier about my Donald that got sick? And that would be the worst. It was Donald who got sick and lost their stomach inside the head, and then we had to help carry them off. And they got taken out in an ambulance in the back because they were so sick. This is one of the reasons I say drink your water, because we had hounded the poor girl to drink her water before she went out, and she wouldn't do it. She was an international college program, and felt so bad for her. But that was definitely it. Drink water. Thank you so much, Caroline. Tradition specific to my family.
Silver Dollar City.
Let's see. It was we go to some sort of theme park every year for Christmas. When we were in Florida, it was the Disney parks, Busch Gardens. When we were in California, we would go to Magic Mountain. Although they didn't do much for Christmas then. No. Here at Silver Dollar City, so we've always gone out and done something.
We did the Parade of Lights in Ventura County.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've got there's certain movies that we watch every year. Polar Express is a must. We've got to watch that. Wonderful Life, typically. The Santa Claus, and a couple others along that line. Christmas Carol in some form or other. And then we wait until Christmas morning to open up our stuff. Roast beef on Christmas Day is the big meal. So that's kind of some of our specific traditions. So you got a couple saying, happy 7th day of Posada, Mrs. Willow. So, Code V and a Donald head. protein spill in a Donald head would be the proper. Let's see. Silver Dollar City, did I work with various church groups? I know that they do that. I was on the train. I didn't do any group booking or anything. That was the whole group office. Completely different section, so I didn't work with that. But if we had a big group come down together on the train, we tried to keep them together. So, okay, probably know what you're talking about. Silver Dollar City does do a thing where they will have church groups come out and volunteer to help out on one day. And they clean tables and bus areas and sweep up grounds and stuff like that. So essentially they're like extra custodial help. And what Silver Dollar City does is instead of paying them wages, they take what they would have paid them and donate it to the church. So they still get around the labor laws that way because they're being paid, but it becomes a donation. So it works that way. I do know people that have done that, and they've had some fun, but it's a long work day. Be prepared to work hard. So, more to my story, Mickey freaking out when you collapsed. Oh, okay, here's a good story for you, Craig. Good question. For those of you who don't know, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I had a tumor that I thought was actually a hernia. Kind of give you a brief idea. And I was working with Sorcerer Mickey at Hollywood Studios, which was indoor in the old animation studios area. And it was painful moving around, but I could do it, and I didn't know what was going on. But it was gradually getting worse. Well, I went down on one knee to get a picture of a kid with Mickey. And as I finished the pictures, I couldn't get up. And it hurt so bad that I just kind of rolled over. Here's the goofy thing. In the pain, I still managed to scan knocked my microphone over. I still managed to scan the family's card and hand it to them and apologize I wasn't moving. Meanwhile, Mickey and the character attendant are hovering over me going, oh no, the character attendant, what's wrong? She called for help. And poor Mickey starts patting me on the head. I'm sorry. Had a couple other people come out and help me out. And I was actually going back at the same time as they were switching the character. And so Mickey did come backstage. And as soon as Mickey got backstage, I was like, are you okay? I'm so sorry. Are you going to be all right? I'm like, I don't know yet, but I'll try. I did see the Mickey later on and let them know I was okay. But yes, they did get to talk to me on the way out and ask what was going on. So thank you so much for the donation, Closet Disney Nerd. I really appreciate that. That is a blessing. Thank you. So, have I seen those videos on YouTube where Disney characters broke character? I have seen a couple of them. Generally, if you see a character break character, it's because they're being provoked by somebody else and they don't have somebody watching over them like an attendant or somebody to protect them. And it breaks my heart every time I see that. Because those poor people have been abused. Like the one where you see Pluto chasing the kid around. That kid had been kicking Pluto repeatedly and parents laughed. That annoys me. I hate when parents think it's funny to abuse a character. Like, let me kick you and punch you and then see how funny it is. So, yeah, I hate those kinds of things. And personally, in a situation like that, I know a couple of those characters have been fired. A couple of the performers were fired for that, but others were given a break. So, yeah, I hate seeing that. Coolest thing that you learn or do in traditions. Traditions really is an orientation class. This is the history of the company. This is who Walt was. This is why he started the parks. This was his goals for it. They do have some fun quiz things that you do, trivia questions and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's a day-long welcome to the company. Here's how not to get sued. Here's how not to get fired. This is our basic goals for the company. Here's how we want you to perform. Remember, it's guests first. Safety begins with me, and things like that. So it's not anything great and exciting. It's interesting, but there's nothing unique, I guess you could say, about it, other than it's Disney and you get your name tag at the end. Thank you so much, Lilith. I appreciate that. You all are blessing me so much. That's wonderful. Thank you. WWE, thanks. Yeah, I agree with the movie. It made you feel old to watch Polar Express? Oh, I love the movie. Tom Hanks' greatest bit of work. And yes, that includes Buzz Lightyear or Woody. So, Thank you so much, Micah, for the Christmas greetings from Netherlands. I appreciate it. Lucy, appreciate you being here. Let's see. So, hope you have a great day. Oh, Brian, yes, 5-bagger on the protein spell. I totally understand that. We did that at Disney World and Silver Dollar City, too. How much? Silver Dollar City, we had a huge bag of essentially cat litter, and we would scoop that. So how many scoops was it? We had a 10-scooper on the train once. Ugh. Let's see. Angie, if somebody asked why Minnie and Mickey couldn't talk, we had a number of different stories. Maybe they were saving their voice for a show later. Maybe they had a sore throat, or various other different things that we came up with. So we always had a story for something. Let's see. Pink Pearl Apple. Disney actually just did a deal where at both parks they're going to be increasing their wages up to $15 an hour. However, as part of that, they're also reducing the number of hours their cast members are working. But in like 3 years, they'll all be $15 an hour, and they're growing up gradually. So they will have a better minimum wage, but cost of living is also going to go up with it. And if you're not near Disney, of course, then you're going to have to pay to move there and live there, and they don't cover any of those costs for you. So something to think about. Let's see. Stephanie B, yes. Yeah, where the person's tail was pulled, don't pull a character's tail. That was a good way to get kicked out of seeing the character very quickly. How many cast members are there that play each character? That's unfortunately been impossible for me to say because I really don't know. I don't even know how many people there are employed in the entertainment division, let alone how many are trained for certain characters, and it's also constantly changing. So there's really no way for me to have any idea. The only number I really know at this point is there are over 75,000 people right now that actually work at Walt Disney World as a cast member. How many are even full-time or what departments? I don't have any clue. So I'm sorry. I don't know. Blessings to you, Lenny. Appreciate it. Have a Merry Christmas. Let's see. If I ever get another pet and it's a boy, name him Walt. I wouldn't want to do that to Walt. Walt's not a dog. What Disney live-action remakes are you most excited for? Honestly, I am not a real big live-action remake person. I'm not real keen on them. We really enjoyed Beauty and the Beast. My wife enjoyed Alice in Wonderland. The Aladdin one looks like it might be okay, but I'm kind of taking a wait and see. But most of them, I've been like, yeah, waste of time and money. It's Disney trying to get a cheap buck. I'm not interested in Dumbo. I think Dumbo looks terrible, to be totally honest with you. I've seen the longer trailers, and I'm just like, really not caring. Lion King, I have almost no interest in. It's already been animated. Their live action is simply computer animation. So I'm not real keen on that. I like seeing original stuff. So maybe Aladdin. Maybe. We'll see. How often can Minnie use ASL? Again, Tammy, that's one I don't know. That's going to really be up to if that cast member knows ASL or not. They are not required to know it. It is not anything special that they need to have. So you never know if the character or if the cast member playing Minnie is going to know ASL or not. It really depends upon what's going on, who's playing it. If they've learned it in the past. Disney does offer ASL classes to all of its cast members who want to take them. They can do that, but there's really no way to know how many know it or not. Oh, Pink Pearl, that sucks. I am so sorry about your mom. I will definitely be praying for you. I wish I could do more than that. But, yeah, I'm sorry. Praying for you and wishing for blessings. What question do I hate the most about the parks? Probably the thing that irritates me, I can't really say irritates, but the one that bugs me is the people who think that cast members make it up when we say people really ask what time's the 3 o'clock parade at. Because people really do ask it completely dead straight serious. It's amazing. Okay, here, Margaret, have you not heard guests ask what time is the 3 o'clock parade?
Of course.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she'll back me up. We hear it all the time as guests and as cast members. People ask that, and then you have to say, oh, no, they're joking, or they don't really mean it. No, they are dead serious, straight, meaning it, not a clue in the head. They think the name of the parade is the 3 o'clock parade. And that's so.
Or they just have a brain.
That would be the one that would drive us nuts. And especially people like, no, nobody really does that. Yeah, they do. Some of my silly, dumb guest videos, I have people say, he's making all that up. No, every bit of that is real. I promise I don't make any of those up. So, would I watch the Avatar new movie when it comes out? Believe it or not, I have never seen the original Avatar movie. So I might watch that one first. So everybody wants to be a cat. Cute, crazy, chill. But yeah, at some point I got to go back and watch the original Avatar. Yeah, Will Smith is no Robin. There will never be another Robin Williams. Robin Williams was awesome. Would I see the stage version of Lion King? It's actually coming through Springfield in February of next year. But we probably won't see it because it's expensive. I'm still mad that we didn't get to go see Phantom of the Opera last year when it came through, and we couldn't afford it. Really wanted to. So, would I see it? Yes, I would. But the one that's touring through here, I know they've got some lady singing the opening part. I'm kind of going, that's just not right. But I would definitely love to go see it. So, let's see. Yeah. Okay, here's a neat story. Somebody may know the truth on this. I heard a story that Will Smith was originally considered for the original Genie in the original Aladdin. And for some reason it didn't happen, and Robin Williams was the second call. I have no idea if that's true or not. I'd love to know it. I do think that as far as people who could be Genie today, Will Smith is probably about as good as you're going to get. But no, he's not Robin Williams. Let's see. Do I think that FOF is a major upgrade from California DCT? Laker, I'm not sure which rides you're using for the abbreviations offhand. You gotta spell it out for me. I'm old. Let me know which ones you're actually intending there. Let's see. Have I seen Ralph Breaks the Internet? Yes, I did see Ralph Breaks the Internet. It wasn't bad. My wife and son really, really enjoyed it. My daughter did. I was kind of like, yeah, okay, it's a sequel. There were some really cute parts in it, some very good ones, but I didn't think it was as good as the original one. So, let's see. Oh, like when they ask, where's Mickey Mouse? He's 5 feet away. Oh, yeah, I get those. Those you honestly, WWE Master, you have to learn to laugh at the silly questions. Like, where's the bathroom? You mean that one right there? You just have to learn to laugh at it. You really do. So, Brian, I don't doubt you about Avatar. Like I said, never seen it. Don't know. So, let's see. Yes, Pink Pearl Apples. They love the cards. Those are great gifts. Oh, Festival Fantasy and Celebrate a Dream Come True. Okay, thank you so much, Laker. Honestly, the afternoon parades for me are almost interchangeable. They both have their own charm, their own character. I do think it's hilarious how the one float shows up in every single afternoon parade they've ever done with the little towers and stuff. They keep using that same float. There were parts of Festival of Fantasy I definitely liked. The music for me is about the same. Okay, if you want the best daytime parade I have seen, Disneyland Paris actually owns it. They have an incredible soundtrack. Is it here? Let me see here. I might actually even have this on my computer. Just a fantastic soundtrack, though, for their parade. And, I mean, you just can't help but start bouncing around to it. So Disneyland Paris has a great one that way. I'm going to just see if I can pull it up here and see if I can play this where y'all can hear it. That's not the one I want. That's one of the demos. Let me see if I can get the actual. Here we go. Let me know if y'all can hear that. If not, I'll play it through the actual thing.
Come meet with mystery, come cheat reality, wondrous, surprising, so mesmerizing. Stay with sensation, sweet liberation, breathlessly quick, envie de magie.
Were you all able to hear that or not? It's one of those songs you can't help but just start bouncing around and dancing to. It's just an awesome song. Okay, so turn it down. Did I ever see people trying to get autographs? No, because they are basically kept right up at the edge of the. They're not allowed out into the street to get near the characters, so no worries on that. Yeah, so if you want the best parade music of any daytime parade, this is it. Disney Paris has got it. Awesome song. Good enough that I actually bought the soundtrack on CD because it's that good. This is actually called Parade Mini Medley. I'm trying to remember what the name of the... it's the Disneyland Park 25 Years of Stars Parade is the name I've got on it. But yeah, it's the Disneyland Paris Daytime Parade. And I have a video of it. Let's see here. Give me just a second. I will actually find the video for you so you can watch it yourself. Let's see. Wish it was in French. There are parts of it in French. You won't be able to hear it, but they are definitely there. Let me get this whole thing. I think my dog hates you now. Okay, it's called the Disney Stars on Parade. Yep, somebody else just popped that up. And there is your link to my video of it. Great parade. It really is. The song itself, I almost want to say is called Lost in the Magic, but it's just a fantastic song. Really is. Someone making it. When we were at Mickey's Not So Scary and the Boo to You music started, and my wife thought she was videotaping me as I was sitting on the ground doing the same kind of thing, and I wish we hadn't lost that video. My wife teases me that I am Baloo, because if I hear something with a beat, I just start bouncing and almost can't help myself. So love that. It's just such a great music. I wish they would use it in other venues. I really do, but it was written just for Paris. So, yes, I got the show soundtrack in the park. Some of the Disney parks still sell soundtracks. I do have a couple other CDs. I've got one from Disneyland and one from Walt Disney World. That Disneyland Paris did sell. It was like €7, I think it was, for it. But in my book, totally worth that. So, yeah. So, anyways, that's my favorite parade music. It's just great. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get back on track. When a ride breaks down, the cast members run to see if they can fix it. Is there a limit on how long we'll leave guests sit on the ride? Okay, so Joy, let me clarify a couple things here. The cast members do not go running to see if they can fix it. Every ride essentially has two different groups of people who are on the ride. You have the attractions cast members. They're the ones that operate the ride, help you get on, help you get off, push the stop and go button, those kinds of things. And then you also have the maintenance guys. They are the ones that do the repairs, the upkeep, fixing things, making sure everything works right. That's maintenance. So you have the two. When you have a ride that stops, generally the attractions people have to wait for the maintenance people to come do the mechanical stuff. They are not allowed to do mechanical because they're not trained on it. It's a different department. So depending upon what kind of stop it is, maintenance usually has to come, look at what's going on, see what the issue is, and then decide what to do from there. And depending upon what the computer system that runs the ride is telling them, then they will make the decision, okay, are we going to try to restart it? Are we going to see if it's going to go? Or do we just quit? Or so they have to make a decision based on what the system is telling them. And sometimes they try to restart and it says no. Okay, restart it again. No. And then they may evacuate people. Other times they'll say, you know, hey, it's going to go real quick and we'll be fine. So each one is different. So Boo to You also has great music. Yes, that's probably the number 2 song I like there. Not sure if I could dance for 10 hours. Oh, I could totally lose some weight doing that, though. Best and worst ride to be stuck on? I can't really say because I've only been evacuated from a couple. Okay, worst ride to get stuck on. I was actually stuck on this last trip for just a few minutes. Small World. We love Small World, but I don't want to be stuck on that with that song playing over and over and over. Oh. So, Madison, enjoy Disney. Be aware you are going the busiest week of the year. It's going to be packed. So, I wish well for you. Hope you love people. You can have a lot of fun. Like I said, I went on Christmas Eve for years, so you can still have a lot of fun, but just know it's ugly busy. So, let's see. Have not seen the New Year's parade. Haven't seen any New Year's parades. Disney World Magic Kingdom does not do a special parade for New Year's Eve. So, although they had DJs and stuff, which was fun. Do the guests ever try to take the characters, giving a plush Mickey to the CM, and the guest is a joke? Okay, WWE Master, I'm confused as to what you're saying there. It sounds like 2 or 3 sentences run together. Punctuation, my friend. Punctuation. Only ride I've only been evacuated from 2 rides, actually, ever. One was Splash Mountain at Magic Kingdom, and the other one was actually Outlaw Run. I got evacuated twice. Once as a practice thing, and then once actually during regular operations. Otherwise, I've never been evacuated from a ride, so I don't know. But anyways, let's see. How long have we been going now? Whew, hour and a half. No wonder my throat's dry. Give me 1 second, guys. I need to get some more water because I'm like... And then start thinking. Give me some more questions if you got them. I'm trying to think if I answered the list I had here. Think so. Oh, I know it. Okay, so here's a nice little trick for you here. If you're ever walking around the Disney parks and you want to know if you're seeing a character out of costume, like a fur character, in particular, if they're in a center location where they don't have access to Utilidor or backstage. Disney characters, when they're not in their character outfit, will oftentimes be wearing like black shorts or pants, sweatpants, gray or white t-shirts, and they will oftentimes have a cart with a big black bag, or they may be carrying a black bag behind them. The bag is actually the costume, and that would be the characters. I have seen them when they have been on their hour-long breaks, because characters get nice long breaks because they need them. And I will see them go out in their civvies out into the park, buy some food, and then take it back to the break room. So you might occasionally see that. Best Disney proposal that I saw or heard about. I actually... the ones that I saw were all pretty, I guess you would call them standard proposals. I didn't see one that took a whole lot of planning. I did see a couple up at Cinderella's Royal Table, because there you could actually book a table and have the proposal as part of it. And you could actually, the guy who wants to propose can give them the ring ahead of time, and they bring it out on this dish that's all decorated and everything, and it's just beautiful. So you can do that. Those are really neat. But as far as anything else elaborate, generally somebody who wants something elaborate, they're going to have to go through some other deals. There was one I saw, and I don't know that this was real. I think it was staged, where they had on Main Street, and they had all sorts. It kind of turned flash mobbish on Main Street, and I really think that this was a stage thing for film just to look really cute. I'm not even sure they filmed it during regular hours. But I saw that on YouTube a couple years back, I want to say. So that might have been neat if it was actually real. But that would probably be as close as I could get there. So, let's see. Person gives a CM a plush Mickey. Take a Mickey Mouse character that they meet and walk away. Oh! I can't say I've seen anybody try to trade a plush character, or, stuffed Mickey, to try to take the real one away from them. But I did see Mickey and Minnie and Donald, all three of them, at various times try to walk away with certain people that they took a liking to. Minnie is very much a flirt, and some of those girl Minnies were definitely flirts, and so they were eating it up when they had some cute stud-looking guy come up. And oh yeah, they definitely like to entertain themselves a little bit that way. But they could only go up to the door to backstage, and then they would have to stop. They couldn't go any further. But no, I never saw somebody try to trade a plush for the real thing. You didn't see that. Sorry. Has anyone taught Pluto the speak command? I have seen people try to get him to do that. The characters do have a rule, Crazy Chill. As far as Pluto and everybody else, they are not supposed to make any sort of noise, with really kind of one exception, and that is a kissing sound. So they can go, and that would be about it. Any other kind of noise, they are really not supposed to make, even Pluto speak, because Pluto has a definite voice in the cartoons. He's got a sound that he specifically makes. Well, more than likely, whoever's playing Pluto cannot sound exactly the same. So if they're giving a bark, like a ruff, well, that's going to sound different than Pluto's bark, or whatever he does. So they don't let them do that at all. It is no talking, no sounds, no voices, except for kissing sounds. And that's generally given to like little kids. Otherwise, nope. You can give him a command, but he's not going to do it. He's going to be a bad puppy and be disobedient. And that's what they're going to tell you. It's like, sorry, Pluto's training just never really took well, and he never quite learned how to do that when he was supposed to. So, you can try it, but he's not going to bark for you. Sorry. Proposal at Cinderella's Royal Table costs a pretty penny. You bet, Laker. I believe it is a couple $100 to have that done for you. But don't quote me on that. You can actually, I believe you can look it up online and they'll tell you. Have I had to deal with a really bad little kid freak out when they saw a character? Absolutely. Okay. I don't know if I've ever talked about this in one of my other videos, William, but this is a good question. There are a lot of kids, in particular from like the 1 to 4 or 5 year old range, that when they come up to meet a character the first time, they are expecting Mickey to be mouse-sized. You know, about like this or so. And then they get up there and Mickey is 6 feet tall almost. Mickey's huge. You know, Donald's huge. And it will freak a lot of kids out. And then you have those parents that they just think their kid's being stupid and try to shove him up there when the kid is scared to death. I don't blame the kid at all. Parents like that would irritate me. I mean, it would make me mad. I'm trying to have to talk very polite and kind to this parent that I really want to go. But, yeah, it just scared my dog again, slapping. Our rule was if a child is crying, they do not have to do anything the child does not want to do. That includes going on rides. If a child is crying on a ride at Disney, they will not let that ride go out because they cannot dispatch a scared child. So we had a couple tricks. Pluto was great with kids who were scared because Pluto would come up and he would let him pet his nose or, just start petting his head. So Pluto was great for that. Winnie the Pooh was wonderful because he's just this big old stuff and he'd kind of crouch down to this ball and the kids would be able to, pet him and hug on him. But the other kids, we did not force them to go up to the character, and we would actually politely tell the parents, this is scary for your child. It's okay for them to be scared. Don't force them. We're not going to let you force your child. Now, for the family picture, what we would do is we would tell the parent to put the child on one shoulder, and then we'd have the character on the other side, so that way the parent was in between the character and the child. And if there was a larger family, then we would put the scared child on the outside edge, furthest away from the character possible. Trying to get them a picture, but there were some kids that you just could not get them there, and that was okay. In that case, as a photographer, the character would usually crouch down, kneel, and reach out and try to let the kid know they were okay, and they might wave at them, and something like that. And we would step back and try to get a picture with the character reaching out to the child, so you could see them both in the picture. And that way, at least we could get something that way. But we would not force the child up there, and we wouldn't let the parent do it. So, but yes, we would have that on a regular basis. And it was not uncommon. The characters are actually trained to help the kids that way. What happens if a character performer sneezes in a head while they're in full costume? Icky's inside. I only heard that a couple times, and basically the character would turn away from the family and try not to make noise. You try very, very hard not to sneeze. But that's... I don't remember ever hearing one sneeze. That doesn't mean they did it. It may mean that it's just been many years. But, yeah, if they did sneeze, gotta wait until you get off stage again when your stage is done. Ever seen a character get the hiccups? Not that I remember. Trying to remember. I might have, actually. That sounds familiar. I can't tell you anything specific top of my head, Craig. But I do want to say I have seen one get hiccups. I just can't remember who or when. Oh, the kissing sound, Crazy Chill. Like I said, everybody is able to make the kissing sound. Something like that. You are allowed to do that. That's the one sound they are allowed to make. But that's the only one. So, has Pluto ever done the play dead command? Yes, that one I have seen him do. I've seen Pluto do roll over. I've seen him do sit. I've seen him do stay. I've seen him do play dead. And then the other thing I've seen is some kids will bring in a little ball. And I have seen Pluto play fetch. So Pluto does get to do some things like that other characters don't work. Has anybody ever tried to hit on the princesses? Yes, they have, and it's disgusting. I did talk about this a little bit earlier in the feed. There are people that think it's really cool to go up to the princess, and what's really creepy is when you see them in their 40s and 50s, and they're hitting on this girl that's in her 20s. Now, some of the princesses are older. You can't tell because of the makeup. Some of them get up into the 30s typically, but I've seen that, and it's just like, really, dude? Most of those princesses have a significant other. Many of them are married already. They have no interest in some creepy stranger coming up and hitting on them in the park. Disgusting. And those are the kinds of things as a photographer we watched for. And if we saw somebody start to do that, that's when the protective mode came in. I was old enough compared to the princesses that for me, a lot of them would have been like a little sister or even my daughter. A little older than my daughter, and so, man, dad mode kicked in. I'm going to kick you. And so I would protect them from that. Cut in between. Sorry, sir. All the princesses have their others, their prince or whatever. She is already taken by Prince Philip, and unless you want to meet his sword, kind of like Maleficent did, you don't want to do that. That would usually put an end to it. But, let's see here. Yeah, kid was losing it after the stretching room. I have seen that before, Stephanie. There are some things at Disney that will freak kids out. There's a reason that the Snow White rides have been modified or removed, because it would scare people. So, let's see here. Let's see. I'm just kind of getting through here. I see Angie commenting about, would Pluto play with a squeak toy? Yes. Yep, he does. If people come up with dog toys and stuff, and Pluto's in a good mood, then yes, he will play with them. I can't guarantee that, because I have seen... There are some people who play Pluto. I gotta remember, I'm in my not safe for magic mode. There are some people who play Pluto that are just not into it, to be honest. They're there to do the pictures and do the basics, and it's a job. There are other people, though, that when they are there to make it real and have fun and have a blast. And if they get a doggy toy, yeah, they're going to play with it. I saw one Pluto play tug of war. Of course, he couldn't bite the rope, but he was definitely pulling with his paws. So some of them have a lot of fun with it. So yes, they might be able to play with it, but all of those kinds of things are really up to the person playing the character and if they want to do it or not. So that is really kind of what it comes down to. But most of the people playing Pluto I saw would love doing stuff like that and interacting, especially if it was a kid. The adults, they might look at you kind of like, okay, really? You know better? Hello? But even then, most of them would still kind of play along a little bit. But yeah, you get a couple every now and then that are just kind of stiff. Who was the biggest flirt? Mickey, Minnie, Daisy, Donald, or Chip and Dale? Minnie. pretty easy. Chip and Dale are actually pretty close because they're both single guys, and so they definitely do like to play around. Although in their case, it's usually fighting over the girl that's visiting them, unless there's more than one. But there's something about Minnie and the girls who play Minnie that I don't know why. Not everyone is true. Some of them did just as part of the character. But a lot of the girls that played Minnie were flirts. So it came very naturally to them to do that. They just did. So, Angie, not showing that last comment. Remember, just because we're not safe for magic doesn't mean you can be inappropriate. Okay? But do I know about Buzzy? Which Buzzy? Who's Buzzy? I have no clue what you're talking about, VW management. Not a clue. Give me details here. Love when cast members scratch behind his ear and Pluto starts something his foot. Yep. And again, that's the characters or the performers who are very much into the role. They're great. They're great. So, Hayes Family Vlogs. I do actually watch them, Gorder Farmer. That family, they're at Disneyland often enough that a lot of those characters at Disney and the performers know the girl now and know the family. And so they watch for them. And she gets these ridiculous, crazy good interactions with them because they know who she is and because they're there often enough. Disneyland characters also have a lot more freedom than Walt Disney World characters do. They have much more room and ability to wander around, to leave, to go play. Whereas Walt Disney World, they've got a place that they're supposed to be and meet and greet guests and take photos. So they've got a routine at Disney World where Disneyland, they are much more impromptu and able to do stuff. And it works great for the Hayes family. It really is. They get to do some great stuff. Any funny poses or props? Oh, gosh. Yes, but top of my head, I don't remember them. I have seen some very good ones. And I know, because I can remember, wow, I do remember that there was some neat stuff, but I don't remember what. I'm sorry I can't give any more details on that. I know we've seen different versions of Flat Stanley and pictures of family members who couldn't be there and some things like that. So they have done some things like that, but I don't remember anything else specific. It might be something that if somebody asked something specific about a character, I could remember it. Kind of like the squeaky toy with Pluto. Yeah, that one kicked a memory. So, did I ever see people tackle the character? I did see kids get very excited and do a running hug. And if the character was on the ground on one knee, sometimes it would knock them backwards a little bit. I didn't ever see an actual flying tackle. The closest I saw, there were a couple kids I saw with Down syndrome who were probably late teens who gave very active hugs when they met them, but not a tackle to the ground per se unless the character was already kneeling. And then it was kind of fun because it was usually a little kid and you knew they weren't intending to hurt the character and it didn't hurt the character. So those were a lot of fun. Those were sweet. Dana Berger actually talked about this one earlier. Yes, many of the male fur characters have been played by women. Probably around half the Mickeys are girls. Half the Donalds are girls. So yes, those two in particular, we'll see a lot of girls play them. The Chipmunks do see a number of girls. Pluto sees several girls that do them too. Although there's still more guys that do Pluto, at least there was when I was there. There were definitely more guy Plutos than girls. But yes, there are girls that definitely play those roles. Okay, so Mikey killed Rico. Since we're on the subject about mascots, you want to be one at Disney World. Disney World does not have mascots, so we got to correct your lingo first. There are no mascots at Disney World. There are characters. So if you say mascot at Disney, you've lost the job already because you got the wrong words. What's required to get the job? Okay, now again, I did not work as one, so I did not have to do this. I do know that all of the characters do have auditions that they have to go to. And if you do a search for Disney character auditions, they will talk about this. They actually do have to do dance steps. They have to act like the characters. It's called animation. So they do check their animation abilities and their ability to act that way. So there's a whole audition process. They also check on your height, your weight, because you have to fit into the costumes. So if you are 6 foot, you're not playing Mickey because you're just too tall. But you might be able to do Goofy, assuming that you're not like 250 pounds. forget it. Ain't going to happen that way. So you've got to fit the size requirements. You got to be able to animate like the character. And so there are things like that that are going to be a very important thing. If you look, some of the other YouTubers will actually talk about some of that as well in the auditions. So, but I was a photographer. I didn't do that. I just saw the end result. So I hope that helps. But there's definitely places on the internet you can get more information. Let's see. Stuck on Space Mountain, that would definitely be cool. I've seen lights on Space Mountain briefly, but I've never gotten good pictures of it. So, how long does a fur costume get used before it gets destroyed? I don't have any clue, Drew. I wish I could tell you, but I don't know. I know with our regular costumes that I wore for PhotoPass, it would typically be 6 months to a year before they would age them out and remove them from the system. You could still turn them in for new costume parts, but they would not be rechecked out at that point. And that's actually one of the reasons I still have my actual costumes, is because some of the pieces, when I went to turn them in and I checked, they had already removed it from the system because they were older. And I was kind of like, well, okay, if it's not in the system, I'm just going to put it back in my bag. And so that's how I got to keep one of my vests, a couple of my vests and things, because they aged out. I don't know how that applies to actual costumes, though. So, okay. See you later, hun. My wife's heading back out. So, let's see. Have I ever seen a face actor break character and get angry or go off script? No. The closest I saw, I did see a couple princesses get very upset, and what they do in a case like that, if they just absolutely can't watch that, is then they step off stage. They signal to us that I've got to go, I've got to step off, and we kind of get the hint that, okay, they're about to lose it at somebody or something, and we will help them get off stage so that way they don't have to do it on stage. But usually we would cover them long before it got to that point. So, let's see. Kind of skipping through here. Buzzy, the audio animatronic for Cranium Command. I don't know anything at all about Buzzy from Cranium Command, VW Management. Not a clue. Not a clue. So, Angie, have the characters met their voice actors? Nope. Generally, stuff like that, almost never. So, and that's because you don't have an opportunity to meet people at the park. You're working. So, let's see here. Yeah, here's the one thing, is when celebrities come into the parks, because I think this is going to apply to what Angie's asking here. When you have a celebrity, whether they are a Disney Imagineer, or somebody well-known at Disney, or an actor or actress or anything at all like that, or an athlete, you do not treat them any differently than anybody else in the park. You don't acknowledge that they are somebody different. You don't call them by name. You don't sit there and go, oh, can I get my picture with you or your autograph? If you do stuff like that, you're fired. You're gone. Bye-bye. So you don't do it. And as a character performer, you just still go through the regular routine as if they were anybody. You don't do anything different. Now, in a case like that, if a character does have somebody famous with them, or somebody that they really want, one of the things I would do is, because I always had extra PhotoPass cards, I had certain character performers I knew well enough that they would actually have their own PhotoPass card of special moments that they really loved, like if they got to meet somebody. And they might give me that card early, in which case if I saw something and they would signal me, hey, that one, and then I would scan their card in addition to the guest card so they could see it. But that was a very rare thing, and I mean very, very rare. That was not something we normally did. There were a couple other characters that I did that with that I knew that something special was coming up, but generally we didn't do that, and so even if they did, they might not even know it. I can't tell you how many times, I had at least 4 or 5 times that I shot pictures of people with a character at a location, and then after they left, somebody would say, do you know who that was? Nope, didn't have any clue, and honestly, I was doing my job, so I didn't pay attention. So, and I don't even remember the names. I just remember people saying, do you know who that was? No? Oh, well. So, do I know if the original character costumes from 55 exist? I don't have any clue. Crazy Chill SB on that one. Not a clue. So, stuff like that, if it wasn't in my department or anything I ever would deal with, I generally didn't. Disney and theme parks are very much a need-to-know basis. So if it's something that relates to you or who you are working with, you might have an idea, but if it doesn't, you probably aren't going to have any clue at all. So, if I were to be a fur character, Bonnie D, we asked about this. Which fur characters would I be good at? And I think we pretty much agreed. Donald, Chippendale, and Stitch, I think were the 4 that we were talking about. I think Stitch was the winner of them. So, and actually, of those, Chippendale and Stitch can interchange. So you may have the same people go back and forth, if I remember right. So, were there any character divas? Some of them out west. In particular, some of the face characters. There is this idea and this concept, and Jennifer Oakes talks about this a little bit, how some people think the face characters are stuck up. And they're really not. They just tend to kind of keep together, which everybody does really at Disney. But there were a few people who were face characters who did kind of get this feeling that I am a face character, I am special. In particular, we would find this with the unionized ones who performed on like the stage shows and stuff. So the casual stage show, that is all special performers that are part of a union, and the name of the union is on the tip of my tongue. Them we found very exclusive and a little bit like, I am on the stage. But most character performers, no, they were just out there like anybody else. So not really too many divas. I did have 1 or 2 princesses that you could just kind of feel that they didn't want to talk to me because I was not entertainment and I was a photographer and that was my job and they had their job. Okay, but they were very rare and unusual, and I couldn't even tell you who they were anymore. So, but yeah, no, I really didn't run into very many character divas. Just the equity. That's it. Equity union performers. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them were wonderful people, but some of them I would see that. I need some more water. Whew, would you believe we've been going 2 hours on this one? Okay. Having a great time, Pink Pearl Apple. Who did Two Shot play? Two Shot was Minnie. Older Minnie, she was probably in her 50s or so, and she'd been doing Minnie for years, and she just had never dealt with the PhotoPass photographer, and she wasn't going to do it because she didn't like it. So, and yeah, she didn't last too much longer as a character performer because of it. Have I ever managed to get photos of off-duty cast members getting engaged? No. The engagements that I shot were not cast members. I do know that. So, and I think we've covered it. I hope y'all don't mind. This has been fun. I hope I've got most of your questions. I told several of the stories I wanted to tell on this. So I'll watch for a few more minutes here if we got any more questions, but my throat is starting to kill me after all this talking. I mean, I'm going over 3 hours of straight talking now, so that's a lot. But I hope you all have learned some fun things. I hope you enjoyed kind of the look behind the scenes and the stage and what it was really like. And, you know, some of the stories. Okay, I can throw out a couple other things I've been asked. Some people have asked me about the character underwear and if they still use that. And there's a rumor that characters used to have to use special costume undergarments. I've never saw that. Don't have any clue, and it wasn't my department, so I didn't have to worry about it. I don't think that is the case, and I don't remember ever hearing anything about it, so I don't believe in that one. But I can't think of anything else offhand. Will I do this again? Honestly, Stephanie, I don't know, because these are kinds of tales that Disney in particular is finicky about. That's the reason why this is not going to be up for public viewing later, but only for patrons. So my patrons will get a link to be able to watch this later, but I don't know if I will do this again. Consider it kind of a special one-time Christmas gift blessing kind of thing. But it'll kind of depend upon the questions and stuff too. If it's something I can talk around a little bit, I may try that, but I don't know if I will necessarily hit quite so blunt on some of them. Have there ever been Secret Santas? That's kind of up to the department. Yes, different groups will do Secret Santas, but again, you got 75,000 cast members. You can't really do one park-wide. company wide or even park wide, because each park is going to have over 10,000 people working at it. So you really stay in your departments. PhotoPass and then entertainment with us some because we worked so close with them. But we didn't do much with merchandise, a little bit because of the stores. We did nothing with attractions. Didn't know anybody in attractions. Didn't know anybody in custodial because we didn't deal with them. So those kinds of things we didn't socialize or associate at all. You stayed within your group that you worked with. So, thank you so much, WWE. Who knows? Maybe if it gets popular and stuff, we might do another one later. It's not something that I can actually do too often. Bonnie D's got all the union there for actors' equity and stuff. So I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. Have a Merry Christmas. I'm actually looking forward to a couple of days off to just kind of sit and become a vegetable. It's going to be fun. So thank you again for everybody who gave, for donated, for all the questions, and I hope you've had a lot of fun. Who knows? I might end up doing something like this again. We'll see. Do the cast members have to pay for parking? No, that is one perk. It is free parking. So this is not going to be archived. So it may be up there for like an extra 30 minutes for people to rewind a bit, but then after that it's going to be gone out west. So not very long till you won't be able to watch it. So sorry. Thank you everybody for joining me. All 85 of you on right now. Wow, that's a lot of people. Hope you had fun. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season and a very Merry Christmas. Thanks for watching. And hey, again, if you've got any ideas you would like for videos, please send them to me. Send them on Facebook. Send them on Reddit. Email them to SirWillow@gmail.com. Because if it's an idea I can use, I will. And I'm constantly looking for stuff. Y'all are great sources of ideas for videos. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a Merry, Merry Christmas.